Please welcome to the stage Shilpa Sequeira and Rohit Mishra.
Hey everyone, good morning. How's everyone doing? How amazing was JML's keynote this morning? JML talked a lot about our global infrastructure, and Shilpa and I are very excited to talk to you about how you all can build for a global audience with Shopify. We're going to take questions at the end of this presentation, and Shilpa will answer all the hard ones. Shopify is a global product, already used by merchants in over 175 countries. However, historically, most of our merchants have come from our core markets, the US, Canada, UK, and Australia, all English-speaking countries. But 70% of e-commerce transactions today occur outside of North America. This is a massive opportunity for all of us. So let's do something about all these other countries on the map. Let's light them up. It should be easy for merchants to grow their business no matter where they are in the world. But Shopify is a platform where merchants are only successful with your help. So come and join us on this global journey. Last year at Unite, we shared the first step of this journey, translating the Shopify admin in 6 new languages. It's now available in 16 languages. And we already have over 100,000 users who use Shopify every day in a language other than English. By the end of last year, 24% of all Shopify merchants now were coming from outside of our core markets. And these merchants are seeing success. Their GMV, which is gross merchandise volume, the total sales that our merchants get, that doubled in the first quarter of 2019 compared to last year. So all these numbers are exciting, but this is still day one. We have barely scratched the surface of the international opportunity, both for our merchants as well as for all of you. These are the 3 biggest things you can do today to start building out your global audience. Translate your apps, fill international product gaps, and enable cross-border commerce. For each of these areas, Shilpa and I are going to describe in detail what they mean for you and give you clear ways to leverage them.
I apologize in advance. My part will be a little technical, and I know you're all recovering from the party last night. But it is still important, and so, yeah, you can also ask me questions if you're still hazy from last night. Later, I'll be in the developer drop-in booth. But we want our merchants to experience Shopify in a way that's meaningful to them, no matter where they are in the world. And so translating your app is the first step in your international journey. Already, almost 1/2 of the traffic to the App Store comes from outside of the core markets that Rohit mentioned. The demand for apps from these merchants is phenomenal. I hope this has convinced you to translate your app. And you might be wondering where to start. Have you ever come across a fun emoji that you sent to a friend and all they got was this? Yes. Oh my gosh. I mean, it was more prevalent earlier on, and browsers are a lot smarter these days, but it is something to think about. And these things happen especially when that emoji or character is not properly encoded. Unicode is a character set that covers almost all scripts in current use today. And UTF-8 is its most popular encoding standard. So make sure your apps support UTF-8 when storing and rendering text, so that our merchants who are from all of these markets outside of core don't see the question marks everywhere. And you'll get support for emojis in the process. Another important piece of information is the locale of the user in Shopify admin. You can get this locale in the request from the admin if you're using the embedded app SDK. You can also get the locale in the OAuth response to your app during the authentication callback. Now let's move on to some of the trickier parts of translating your app, extracting all hard-coded strings. Here is one example we came across when translating Shopify last year. It was not an easy task because of the size of our code base. But there are quite a few things that we learned, and I'd like to walk you through just one of them. In this example, in order to translate the sentences save product and save draft order, we extracted the strings save, product, and draft order. And this allowed us to extract the string save just once and still form the sentences by referencing the translation keys and combining them in this manner. Simple, right? We sent our extracted strings to our translators, and this is what we got for German. Now, I don't speak German. I know we have partners from all over the world here, so don't correct my pronunciation like right now, maybe after. But during review, we noticed that the word save was translated to sparen. And I learned later that this means to save up in terms of money. I later learned that there are 10 different ways to translate the word save. It can get really hard to translate words without full context. Extracting full sentences provides a translator with a lot more context and also allows for the orders of the words in that sentence to change from locale to locale. Did you know that German words are on average also 30% longer than English ones? You need to make sure that your UI layouts don't break with these long translated strings. Pseudo-localization. I struggled to fit this on this slide. Oh my God. It is a very, very long word, but it is a very useful tool because it allows you to convert your extracted strings into slightly longer expanded text that mimics a translated word, but it is still readable. It is also a tool that can easily help you look at your UI and identify what strings have been extracted and what haven't. Apart from extracting strings and translating them, date and time formats, address formats, time zones, names of days, and so on, all of these differ from country to country. A date like 1/2/2019 could mean Jan 1st to you, but February 1st to me. It's crazy. And this kind of diversity is what we encourage and it's what we want. But it isn't easy. There is light, though, at the end of this translation tunnel. We took all that we learned and more, and we put it into the React I18 and Yarn package. It contains utilities for pseudo-localization, for the date formats, time formats, pluralization rules, and so much more, all according to Polaris conventions. Now, if you don't build your app using Polaris and React, there are many other I18 and frameworks out there that make it really easy to translate your app. There is also another talk this afternoon in this track called Building Multilingual Apps, so make sure to check it out.
Thanks, Shilpa. So translating your apps will allow merchants worldwide to use them. However, every country has its own unique flavor of commerce. And with Shopify going worldwide, there are many, many new opportunities for all of you to build new apps or extend your current apps for new use cases. At Shopify, our core product is designed to support what most merchants need most of the time. We cannot and will not build for every use case in every market. So with international growth, as the number and diversity of merchants on Shopify grows, what most merchants share in common will become smaller. And so the core Shopify product will only get simpler. Everything else that merchants worldwide will need will be delivered to them through apps that you all make. So for example, in France, people prefer to have their packages delivered to a pickup point rather than to their home. Pickup points are the second most popular delivery method in France and many other European markets. This is a product gap in our platform, which we don't natively support, but something that shipping, fulfillment, and order management apps can fill. There are many other similar gaps globally. In Italy, invoicing has different standards from the rest of the world. And merchants in China have separate needs for how they want to do their international shipping. We recognize that identifying the right global opportunity is not so easy. This is why Shopify now has employees all over the world who are eager to work with all of you to fill the product gaps in their specific markets. We have many of them here today and some of them in this room, and I strongly encourage you to connect with them later to better understand the opportunities in their markets and see how you can collaborate with us. We have also made it easy for international merchants to discover the localized apps that you make. You can now list your apps in multiple languages on the App Store. You can configure which countries your app supports using install requirements. And finally, your apps will get more installs because we have tuned our app recommendations on the App Store and in the admin to be country and language aware. So we talked about translating your apps, and we talked about filling the international product gaps. Let's move on to the third area, which is also my favorite, cross-border commerce. At Shopify, we are revisiting all the flows of commerce with one key idea. What if the buyer and the merchant are not in the same country? We want to make selling to buyers around the world just as easy as selling to someone in their domestic market. Globally, cross-border commerce accounted for 18% of total Shopify GMV last year. But when we look at markets outside of the US, and this includes some of our core markets, this number doubles. Cross-border GMV accounts for almost 36% of total GMV outside of the US. But when we compare this GMV to the traffic that Shopify merchants get, we'll see a better picture. 35% of total traffic to merchants worldwide now come from cross-border visitors. But domestic traffic today converts much, much better than international traffic does. This tells us that today we are not solving the challenges faced by cross-border buyers. So as David announced yesterday on the main stage, 2019 is the year where Shopify is going to make deep investments to accelerate cross-border commerce on our platform. The first of these investments is multi-currency. The ability to pay in your local currency is one of the top factors that influences cross-border conversion. And we are seeing spectacular results with the Plus merchants that are already using this capability today. We want to make it extremely easy for all merchants on Shopify to be able to sell in multiple currencies from the same online store. Last year at Unite, we announced this capability for our Plus merchants, and this year, we are going to bring this to all merchants on Shopify who use Shopify payments. And enabling support for multi-currency will be really simple. Merchants can go to the currencies section in the payment settings, and then select any of the 10 currencies that we today support. And once they enable a currency, we show them a preview of how, say, a price from US dollars, which can be their store currency, will get converted to euros. This is not a straight FX rate conversion. We convert the price, and then we apply rounding rules on top of the price so that buyers see a localized price. So no weird 35.63 euros kind of price. For merchants, this experience just works. We took the complexity of finding the right rounded price for a particular currency and made that native in our platform. And for buyers, this also leads to a seamless purchase experience. When they land on an online store, they can select the currency that they want to see the store in. And from that point, from the home page to the checkout, they will consistently see the price in their local currency. And most importantly, buyers can finally pay in their local currency. So no more currency will change at checkout messages that we all have seen at some point. But we need your help to make multi-currency successful. We need you to migrate your public and private apps to support multi-currency by passing the currency field in your API calls. But beyond that, also consider incorporating multi-currency in your app workflows so merchants and buyers have a consistent experience. So for example, if you have an invoicing app, consider generating invoices now in the buyer currency so the buyers have a consistent experience. There's a lot more work to be done in simplifying cross-border payments, but we are so excited with this first big step.
Thanks, Rohit. Multi-currency is a very important feature, but so is multi-language. After we launched Shopify Admin last year in multiple languages, the timing was finally right to release our multi-language online store. To support this, we have built a new translations API and made changes to the online store and to Liquid, our templating language. Let me walk you through how you could translate a single field on a product into Brazilian Portuguese. I don't know Brazilian Portuguese either, just a warning. On the left is you see where we query for the content that needs to be translated. And on the right, you see the response. This product here has a title, White T-shirt, in the locale EN US. Once we know what we need to translate, we can now create a translation for it using the translations register GraphQL mutation that takes a product or any resource ID and an array of translations. For our example, we're parsing in the ID of the product and a single translation for the product title in Brazilian Portuguese. To ensure that the right version of the English string is being translated, we also pass in the string white t-shirt in the translatable content field. If all goes well, this is what you should see. No errors. We are working on making every buyer-facing resource translatable, including product variants, email and SMS templates, blogs, and so much more. Once all buyer-facing content has been translated, the merchant is now ready to release the Brazilian Portuguese version of their online store. To do that, they can use the new Store Language Settings page and control which locales are published to the online store and to checkout. You can also do this via your translation app using the GraphQL Admin API. If your app does not create translations, but still needs a way to fetch these published translations, we've augmented the GraphQL Admin API to easily allow you to query them without needing a new translations access scope. Once the locale is published, the translated store will be available to buyers at the locale subdirectory of their shop domain. So, a merchant can have their English site at shop.com and a Brazilian Portuguese site at shop.com/pt-br. This is SEO friendly. Liquid is the templating language that we use to power the online store. We have made sure that it is locale aware, and so no changes are required to render translations. Once a request is made in a specific locale, published translations will be surfaced instead of the original content. You will need to remove any hard-coded links in your theme, just like in the example here. And you can use the new routes liquid drop that allows you to generate dynamic URLs to the online store. You can easily get now a URL with the right locale in the path. Now, I've walked you through so many different ways to build for a global audience, and so has Rohit. It's a lot. But it's really a whole new world of commerce out there where we like to pay in different currencies, we work in different languages, and love to trade across borders. Shopify is investing heavily for this new global audience, and we are so excited to have you join us on this exciting journey. Thank you. Yes, we're going to take questions. I'm just going to pick up the iPad. And have you used the app to submit them? The guy raising his hand. Oh, it's not working?
I also
Okay.
have a microphone.
Then we can just take them.
Loaded into the app, so we'll take them as well. But
Thank you very much. So question, when it will be available to switch languages or to have a multilingual store in Shopify? And which languages it supports, and if needed, I'll translate it to others. Just so important.
Yeah, so the APIs are right now available in the Unite developer preview. So you can see the store language settings. You can get access to the APIs right away. We expect that the APIs will still stay on the unstable branch for the next few weeks. But once we have enough feedback from partners, then we'll move this API to our release candidate. And at that point, we expect later this summer to start a merchant beta. So we will work with our partners and to select the right merchants. So we can be in touch offline to figure that out.
Cool. Okay, so here's a question. How does the translations API handle pronouns within a string, like a brand name that shouldn't be translated?
Yeah, so with the translations API, we are mindful that translations can be done in many different ways, right? So some of our merchants would have their own glossaries, some would want to use a machine translation, and some would want to translate things themselves. So we have, which is why Shopify has built an API where we expect our partners to build this logic on top of our APIs. So in this particular case, one of our partner apps will likely have a glossary, and where you can specify that these words should not be translated, or these words should be translated always in a specific manner, and then that app will respect that. So all of these specific translation workflows will be managed within the translation app.
Okay, another one. What are the top 3 non-English markets to consider for a translation app?
So right now, Shopify's focus since mid 2018 has been Germany, France, and Japan. We would encourage you to focus on these markets. We have a lot of interest from our Spanish markets, so that's an audience to consider. And we are also seeing a lot of traction in Brazil. So Brazilian Portuguese is also something for you guys to consider.
Okay, so how are you planning to manage tax laws, customs, duties, and gift cards for the global audience? Yeah, this is a hard question. I'm giving all the hard ones to Rohit.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That didn't work out.
Yeah.
Duties and landed costs in general is one of our very high interest areas on my team. We are exploring different ways of collaborating with partners so that we can. What we eventually want to get to is that our merchant should be able to collect duties upfront in their checkout, and so that buyers pay a full cost, and then they don't have to do anything specific once the product is delivered to them. This is still in early exploration. If you have more questions and feedback, I would love to talk to you, but nothing specific to announce at this point of time.
Okay, so how is Shopify Plus determining which partners to refer to into international regions, considering potential cultural and language barriers?
Sorry.
So I guess they're asking, how do we determine which partners to refer into international regions, considering cultural and language barriers?
So for the past year, our in-country teams have been trying to generate a lot of domestic partners, but we also see a lot of cross-border collaboration between partners and merchants. So if you're interested in working with merchants in a specific market, I would encourage you to work with our partner managers for that region and find out what you need to do. Our preference is to diversify our partner network globally, and so we encourage domestic partners to work with merchants in that region, but we also facilitate a lot of cross-border collaboration. So please speak to our partner managers from the region that you're interested in.
Okay, so when our app creates products, can we already send along the translations for each language of product characteristics? So you would have to use the separate translations register GraphQL mutation in order to create translations. We don't have the ability for you to write translations as part of the regular, let's say, product creation mutation. But we're hoping that this is a flexible enough features for all of you to easily write translations. Okay, so if the translations API works for product descriptions, how does it handle brand voicing to ensure the message is not lost? I think this is very similar to the previous question. Yes, we do expect apps to help build glossaries and really more complex translation workflows to really help merchants have a really good translated version of their shop. Okay, one for you, Rohit. Can you share the priorities for the countries or regions for Shopify's expansion globally?
Yeah. So as I said before, we are focused on Germany, France, Japan, and some of our new markets in Singapore and China. Beyond that, Shopify has presence now in over 15 different markets. So we are growing all over the world, and we are very happy to collaborate with partners in all those regions.
Okay, we're out of time, so thank you so much for coming. And if you have any more questions, you can catch
we are
us
around.
outside.
Thank you.
Thank you.